Oh yeah.
It's also very martial, so maybe when you're second, you just...
So I'm going to be at the front.
Up to you, but it's very frustrating. You don't want to give up. So telegram as well. A few groups of telegram for the money. Exciting?
Yeah, I'm on the ice.
You purchased a house.
Okay, Hugo Talks. Go on Hugo Talks. There's on our web. They got the website. They want to unite all the pubs. Yeah, and they are
On the second floor, waiting just behind the garden door. Surrounded by those things that carry the pain. Maybe I was blind, didn't really try.
Kathy Ginger. So whenever she's got something that someone else has done, can we republish it? Or just go ahead, yeah. Yes, no, yes. No, that's a big deal. What channels can you okay, I know Roku, that's international. Yeah. Okay, no, that sounds very attractive. Yes, it does. Yes, I believe it. Yeah? I know, yeah.
Yeah, can do, yeah. Thank you, sweetheart. So.
That's even easier. Okay? Hello there. Hello. Nice to meet you. Glad you've got your smiley badges on. I've got them stuck to my door. A lot, and the neighbours have as well. The neighbours have got I've got out of hand this one. Most people just said it's very easy. So 2 or 3 you can see them in their windows. Got it. Yes, that's a good We were trying to. We spent a lot of time there, and then coronavirus arrived. Well, we had to put 4 months. It was the end of 2020. It's the end of 2019. Very, very nice. And then it just stopped. So then the last one, my daughter was having a second baby with a planned cesarean, so we needed to come home just in case. And now we're trapped. Can't illegal to leave the country and illegal to enter France. What's that all about? Absolutely. Also, this country has never closed its borders to people leaving in its 1,000-year history. So when that happened, why were not people marching in the streets? How does that stop people? You never stop people leaving. Quarantine was always stopping people coming in case they bring a disease. It never stops. You go back through biblical history, you never quarantine people from leaving. You want to go out to the wilderness and die, that's your lot. So, hello there. Yes. Once I realised it was all a lie, I thought, well, there's nothing else to do to say. It's not going to go away. So it really isn't. No, I don't know him, but I have a friend in France who does know him. So we are He's the HCQ. He's a good guy. Really well.
Okay, our first speaker this afternoon doesn't need any introduction, but we're going to introduce him anyway. Dr. Mike Eden. For those of you who don't know, my question would be, where have you been? Michael's a scientific researcher and was vice president of the drugs giant Pfizer. He has over 30 years of new medicine research and was a life sciences R&D leader. He co-founded a successful biotech, and it was all set for his retirement adventure. And the universe said, no, 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 no. Today, Mike's going to talk to you about your government is lying to you, their intent is malign, actively withdraw your consent now. Give it up for Mike.
Thank you for being here. It means the world to me. I've been speaking out for about a year, but seeing so many people who don't accept what they're being told as true, I'll be a bit louder now. Can you hear me now? Jolly good. So yes, I'm Mike Eden. I've got a degree and a PhD in biology, biochemistry, and toxicology, and pharmacology. So I do know my stuff in a narrow area. And so why am I speaking out? I noticed very early on that there were factual inaccuracies. Turn it up if you can. Factual inaccuracies in what we were being told. Lies, in other words. And at first I thought there were just problems with testing, PCR testing. But actually, as the year has worn on, I've come to realise everything that you're being told is either adjacent to the truth or an exaggeration. It's not correct. So, I think I would like to start by saying, it may sound bizarre, don't be frightened of this virus. The government spent a year trying to terrify you. It's a fairly middling virus. It's not Ebola. It's a health threat, a serious health threat to people who are already very old and usually quite ill as well. But it's not a health threat to someone even as antique as me. I'm 61. It's not going to kill me. And it's not going to kill almost no one else either. And yet they've got you fearful that your children are going to catch it and die, that pregnant women are going to catch it and die. It's all nonsense. So don't be frightened of the virus. It's middling. There are also very effective treatments out there, like hydroxychloroquine, inhaled steroids, ivermectin, vitamin D. I would say it's probably the best treatable, most treatable viral disease I've ever come across. But you don't know this because the media has decided not to tell you anything, and a lot of the medical profession have been prohibited from prescribing cheap and effective, safe, old generics. And I'm embarrassed. I spent my life in the pharmaceutical industry trying to make new drugs, and I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of all of you in the medical profession allowing this to continue.
Shame on them! Shame on them!
Another thing to know about it is, like other straightforward respiratory viruses, that once you've had it, you're immune to it. Don't let anybody tell you that, oh, maybe it'll wear off. No, that's why we're still here millions of years later. If it was true that you could have the same virus over and over again, we'd all be dying of flu and colds and stuff all the time. So once you've survived it, which you nearly always do, 99.8%, you're immune. None of these variants are going to catch you out. You don't need to be vaccinated against a common and garden respiratory virus like this. So I say again, respect the fact that when you are very old and very ill, something eventually will stop you reaching your next birthday. And that's going to happen to me too. And every one of the people in this crowd, I'm afraid we are in life, we are in death. This virus doesn't pluck young people and kill them. It's people generally who are relatively old, older than me often. In fact, they died at the same average age or even older than people who died of anything else. So that should, I think, alert lots of people to the fact that you're being misled. So don't be frightened of the virus. Is this better? Yes. I'm sorry about that. So don't be frightened of the virus, but I'll come to that. Even the Indian double triple mutant with a full twist and toe loop and salto. Don't worry about that one either. So, but what you should be.
Oh, don't start that.
What you should be frightened of, I'm afraid to say,
that's
is
funny.
our government, or perhaps the people advising the government. I actually don't know who's driving this. I'm not going to bother with any names. You know there are some names. But I'm afraid the official position on everything that they tell you is not true. And that's awful. I'm born in Britain, Englishman, proud of my country, and I feel, again, what the hell has happened to my country over the last year? What are they doing? So I'm here because I'm simply not willing to just look the other way whilst what is the biggest crime in human history is underway. They have not finished with us, but we just need to decide we're not going to believe the lies anymore. We're going to be very peaceful, and we'll withdraw our consent from this bullshit. The reason I'm speaking to you from a Victorian bandstand on a wet day is because the media has decided that anyone who says anything counter to their story is somehow dangerous and needs to be censored. So you will have noticed there's no competing voices on any of the TV or radio stations, with notable exceptions. And then if anybody does have the cheek to speak out, they will suddenly be declared as mad, an anti-vaxxer, a disgruntled former MP, or whatever else. None of those things. I wanted to be retired, but when this happened, it's picked me, so I'm here. So I'm just going to take a few minutes, and I'm going to step through some of the central narrative points, because I want to be able to give you, if you need it, the information to persuade other people. Just ask them to listen for a moment while you describe that there's something you're being told that's not true, and ask them, if I could persuade you of that, something really central wasn't true, would you at least accept you should ask what else is not true? That's, I think, one way to do it. So we're told, I remember last year, new virus, you're all susceptible. No, nothing comes from nothing. It's a coronavirus. This is the 7th human coronavirus that we know about. 4 of them cause common colds. But they don't tell you that, Fergus Walsh on the BBC. So, of course, because it's related to other viruses, a lot of you had a degree of immunity before it even arrived. If you were told that, you'd have been a lot less frightened, wouldn't you? I knew that in March, just reading it in the literature. My favourite lie, because it's a bit like one of those, if you tell a really big lie long enough, people will believe it. You can transmit this virus to other people, you can be a respiratory health threat to other people, even though you've got no symptoms. Come on. Honestly, I think it sort of breaks the sort of logic, doesn't it? The reason we can spot whether someone might give us a cold or a flu is because they've got symptoms. And I can tell you why that's certain. If you've got, in order to be a good infectious source that you can infect another person, you need to have, in slang, a lung full of virus. Because if you don't, you won't be able to emit enough to infect very many people. So if you're a good source, you'll be full of virus. If you're full of virus, you will have symptoms, no exceptions. It's attacking you, it's burning up the lining cells in your airways. Your immune system's fighting back, which is why you've got a temperature and a swollen throat. You have symptoms. So if you're an infectious source, you're ill. That's what we used to call it. And so the idea that you can infect other people with no symptoms at all, I would say it's somewhere between rare and doesn't happen. So, but once you knock that one out, asymptomatic transmission, then you don't need to be wearing masks, do you? You haven't got any symptoms. Why do you need a mask?
If you haven't got any symptoms and say you're not a health threat to others, why do you need mass testing? You don't, do you? You don't need that either.
Get the case numbers up.
And if you can't be a respiratory virus health threat to anybody else, unless you've got symptoms, and if you did, you'd be home because you're ill, why do you need lockdowns? And the answer is you don't need any of these things to control even a more dangerous virus than this, because you can spot it if you're a risk because you're ill. It's as simple as that. PCR testing. If you've ever seen police procedurals in which a suspect has their DNA test done, well, that's the kind of science that this PCR test is. It's a clever technique, it's a really sensitive technique, it's a specialist laboratory procedure. What is incredible, and I've never believed it, is that you could test hundreds of thousands of samples a day next to each other in the fume hood, using somebody who's never worked in the lab before, and expect those results to be reliable. They're not reliable. If you showed a judge before the trial, say you were the lawyer of the accused, and he said, there's my client's sample, and he'd go, what, in with those other 250,000 samples with the lids off? And he'd say to the prosecution, you can throw that evidence out. You know, why? Well, because you've no idea whether there's any contamination, and they do not measure the contamination. I tried really hard last summer to say every test has a false positive rate. Mr. Hancock, what is it? And he didn't know. And they've never told us what it is. I think the false positive rate is high enough that currently there are probably no cases in the community at all, and there probably haven't been any for several months, because they don't subtract this background rate. Gentleman over there asked about variants. I've got a good example for the variants. So people think that viruses mutate. Yes, they do. And that they might change. Yeah, they do. And then they think influenza or flu, and that changes. So you can see why you might need a top-up. It's like it changed enough to be a new virus. So, but I think of it like this. The way they mutate is very different. Influenza undergoes something called recombination, where it swaps its shirt with one virus and its trousers from another. And so it's got its 7-league boots on. It changes, it hops really quickly. And so in a year, it can change almost completely. And when it arrives again around the world, it literally does present as a new pathogen. You've not seen it before. That's not true with coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. It does mutate a lot, but it's a lazy virus. It vibrates on the spot. Lots of movement, not going anywhere. So all of the variants are within 0.3% of the original. So if you think of it, if you put all the pictures of the variants on a screen and flick through them all, it would appear to just vibrate on the spot. Tiny, tiny changes. And so there's no chance whatsoever that your immune system, if you're immune, either through vaccination or because you've survived infection, there's zero chance that you're going to be susceptible to any variant. I defy any of the sage scientists or anyone in the medical community to come and dispute this with me. I've read more papers on human immunology over the last year than in the previous 25 years. So I do know that from a theoretical perspective and from a practical testing perspective, there is no chance whatsoever that you need a top-up or third or variant vaccine. No chance whatsoever. So what is it in those vials? I saw a news report 3 weeks ago to say from Moderna, and they were proudly saying we're actually bottling 1 billion doses of variant vaccine this very day. It frightens the hell out of me. It cannot be a vaccine. You don't need a third jab. What is in there? I don't know. So that's very important. Don't accept the lies about the variants. They've closed the borders, though, based on the strength of these being different enough and you have to keep them out. That's just complete bullshit. The viruses, the vaccine, the variants arise spontaneously wherever the virus replicates. So it's just a stupid idea. It's like having 6 inches of water in your ground floor and then trying to close the door to keep the water out. Way too late. The virus is everywhere. It's endemic and at low level. So then, there are probably others, but the last major lie is that these new vaccines are safe, and effective. When I was last in a large drug company 10 years ago, we used mRNA knockdown technology as a lab technique. It's really a clever piece of science. It was absolutely a million miles ready for prime time as a medicine. So I don't know what it is they think they've done in the last 10 years, but I cast through the literature and I could not see the big advances that must have been made from it being a lab technique 10 years ago to being something you can jab the world with now. So, I don't know quite what they're doing, but I'm worried about it. In terms of effective, I'm not going to comment on it. I just don't think there's enough information for me to thumbs up, thumbs down. But in terms of safety, we all know that the UK yellow card system, where people can report an adverse effect, or the US vaccine adverse effect reporting system, or VAERS, both of them are showing this pattern, that in the last 4 months, more people have been reported to have died after vaccination against COVID-19 than after all of the other vaccines given in those countries for the last 13 years. Those are not my numbers, those are our government's numbers. You're not hearing about this on the media, are you? But I'm afraid, a small minority of people are dying, and I think quite a large proportion are getting serious adverse effects. The one I know most about are blood clots, because with Dr. Wolfgang Vodard, I put together a petition to the European Medicines Agency on the 1st of December last year. I'm sure the news reported that, didn't they? But we were very, very concerned about these types of molecules because we were concerned they were going to be used in everybody. Not exactly mind readers, we could work out what they were doing at this point. And we asked them to stay the development of these compounds until more safety information was available. But what we found out looking at the literature is that the spike protein, the sort of cartoon stick that you see sticking out of the coronavirus, which all the vaccines cause your body to make, spike protein, unfortunately, is capable of triggering coagulation of your blood. And they knew that in about 2006 or so. There were experiments done after SARS-1 in 2003, and people have published papers. You can go and find them on Google Scholar. You put in SARS, spike protein, blood coagulation, or something like that. You'll be able to find the literature. So all the companies that have made these vaccines knew that when they chose to encode spike protein. And so I'd like to ask them if any of them would like to contact me. I do know some of them actually personally. Would they like to have a chat about why they chose that, given as soon as I saw it as a toxicologist, I thought, oh my God, some people will get bigger doses than others. The vaccine will whiz around your body and you deposit where it goes. And we're not required to study that. You would if it was a new drug, but because they classified it as a vaccine, it's a past, you don't have to study that at all. So there's no idea where it went. And what I think is happening is that some poor souls end up with more of it in one place than others. Then it might make more copies of the spike protein in them than in others, just normal human variation. And then if you add more sensitive to blood clots than others, you end up with healthy young women with cerebral vein sinus thrombosis and dead. I mean, this is just criminal. As soon as it has been realised that was what was happening, instead of monkeying about, they should have pulled them. They should be pulled today. I am calling for the withdrawal of all of the experimental gene-based vaccines because they are not safe enough to use.
It's about money.
Stop the genocide!
And I'm ashamed of my former industry. I feel like I've been a dupe that I didn't see this stuff when I was in research. I loved my job. I really enjoyed doing research. But clearly there are some people in some of these companies that don't think like normal human beings, not like me. So, thank you. So what is all this stuff about? Obviously, I don't know. I do irritate my family when they ask that question, and I cheekily reply, it's not my crime. So actually, of course, I don't really know, but I deduce that since there was much talk about vaccine passports and lots of talk about top-up vaccines, I actually can't think of too many alternatives. So the vaccine passport's rubbish. Let's say I was a vulnerable person, chose to get vaccinated, had an okay reaction, I am now immune. I don't need to know whether any of you have been jabbed. I'm protected. So there is no justification whatsoever, medically, scientifically, for vaccine passports. The only people who want you to have them are the people who will be operating the database that it will work on. So if you all have a vaccine passport and you have to keep it to get into a supermarket or a museum or an aeroplane, if somebody wanted to stop you, they just need to turn your authority off. So the vaccine passports database, I think, is the most tyrannical tool for totalitarian control. I would say this, even if everything that you've been told is correct, and even if the vaccines were safe and effective, you should still not allow this electronic database to come into force, because it will be misused. And my biggest fear is all of this charade is designed to get us onto a world's first digital identity system, which will be used to control, to prohibit or require us to do things, and then we'll end up being jabbed. And I don't know this, but I'm fearful that there's something in these top-up vaccines that will harm you. And that's my fear, that it's about at least control and possibly depopulation. Yes. And so I can't save you. They're not listening to me. You can save yourselves. We can do it together. And I think the way we do it is no longer to look away when somebody just lies into your face. Just very politely, whatever it is they're talking about, say, I'm sorry, that's simply not true. You know, you have to keep saying that. And I know it's such a journey for people who have followed what they've been told, and I do know it's an unbelievably painful experience to realise you have actually been lied to. People around here, thank you for being here. If you can each persuade 2 people, and each of those people can persuade 2 people, it doesn't take very long before the government doesn't have enough supporters, even passively. And we are going to gently, peacefully push them back, because this isn't going to be over in a few weeks or a few months. I think they'll probably be at it for years. So deep breath. You've got lots of time to win then. Because you can never go the other way. If you persuade someone, when you just point out the stuff about symptoms, no symptoms, and then transmitting the infection, you can go and search for them. No papers showing that it happens at any kind of frequency and so on. And the vaccine, the variant stuff. There's loads of literature that shows that when someone's immune, their T cells recognise all the variants because they're so similar. That's the way it works. So every time you convert someone, and you get them to think, oh my God, we have been misled, or worse, they never go back the other way. So we just keep collecting people, keep collecting people. So I guess before I stop, just an invitation really. You may have come in family groups or on your own or a couple of people. Just a suggestion before I stop. I'm going to ask you to take 10 seconds to look to your left and then 10 to your right. Try and catch the eye of someone you didn't come with, kind of nod at them, and then when we've finished, go and have a chat. I'm going to try and glue you together. So 10 seconds looking to your right or left and just try and eyeball someone you didn't come with. And you think, okay, I'm probably going to speak to that person afterwards. And you've done your 10 seconds, so whiz your head round, and then try and catch the eye of someone on the other side. And then there you go, you've each got 2 new contacts to try and say hello to, exchange maybe telephone numbers, because that's the way we've been controlled, is to be sliced into tiny little pieces. So glue ourselves back together, and you'll have more courage to talk, and you'll feel better about the fact you're not alone. Look at all these people here, hundreds of people on a wet day. So. Oh God, yes. In fact, I'd written it in red, and I had, yeah. So I was going to say a bit about the vaccine safe and effective, and I said I just don't think they should be used at all anymore. The things that should, anyone who is sort of half persuaded, they're on the fence, maybe they're being told the truth, maybe not, just point out to them, whenever in history do we take an experimental medicine and jab it into pregnant women when we have not done reproductive toxicology? The answer is never. 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 How about someone who's, I don't know, 25 or 29 in perfect health? You know, did you know that the influenza is a slightly bigger risk to kill people like that than SARS-CoV-2? I mean, they're both remote possibilities, but influenza is slightly more dangerous to this healthy 25 or 29-year-old, but they don't get vaccinated against flu. Why not? Because the risk is too small to bother to reduce it. Well, it's even less than with this virus, so why would you risk it? So if you're of that ilk, please, I'm pleading with you, do not get vaccinated for non-medical reasons. Don't get vaccinated so you can go on holiday. Don't get vaccinated so you can go on the pub. Don't get vaccinated so you can hug your granny who's already vaccinated. And then here's the last few. This is just so awful. There are clearly intentions to vaccinate our secondary school children, 11 to 18. No. I honestly, I would strongly suggest, if they're going to school, did you know they've changed the regulations so they're allowed to consent at younger ages? I can't remember what the age is, like 13 or something. That's just appalling. And just to show you that it isn't a theory, this conspiracy, it's a real conspiracy. The week that the law was changed in Westminster, the Children Act, they lowered the age of self-consent by several years without telling you, not reporting it on the media. I phoned a friend of mine in America. Washington made the same change the same week by sheer coincidence. You have to be a coincidence theorist to believe that that's just happening by randomness. So that's the secondary school children. They will come for your primary school children as well. Now, I think I'm correct in saying that in the UK, no previously well child, I think under 13, got the virus and died. There's some that were already ill, unfortunately, were carried away. But no previously well child caught the virus and died. Why would you vaccinate 10 million children? The answer is for a reason that's got nothing to do with viruses. So go and persuade your sceptical or your inherent friends and colleagues. They've really got to wake up about this bit about children, pregnant women, and then minor children. I'm just terrified that we're sleepwalking into an absolute disaster. At the moment, we can still, I feel it this way, your old life is this close, right? You can just about touch it. But if we wait a few more months, it's going to recede forever. You will not be able to get back from a vaccine passports database. Once a digital ID is in place, it'll be like one of those ghastly sci-fi novels. So really, I urge you, not just for me, not just for my family and grandchildren as well, but for you and yours, you've got to find a peaceful, thoroughly effective way of persuading a few more people each. All it takes. A few courageous conversations each. If you can do that, I think the government will simply not have that sort of passive support that it needs for us to sleepwalk into the gates of hell. Because we're standing in front of the gates of hell. I'm not religious, but I have to say I've felt recently that the forces of rationality that I lived by for all of my life are no longer working. And when you haven't got rational decision making, what have you got left? Faith. Whatever yours is, use it and go and persuade other people to pull us out of this dive, and let's rescue liberal democracy. Thank you. Thank you.
Give it up for Michael. Dr. Michael. Right, we're going to take a picture at the top there and then we'll go.
Okay, so we're just going for a walk now. Literally my GoPro, that's it. No special connections, anything like that. So, yeah, round the walkabout now. It's Mr. Evans, as I live and breathe.
Hurst.
Sorry. I've had a long day. I've had a long night. Oh, I'm really sorry.
Years ago I was on stage and I said, people often shout out, it's Lee Evans.
Right.
And I said, and what I do, I go, fuck off, wanker. I says, and then when they go home, they go, I saw Lee Evans today, you told me to fuck off. I said, and he gets all the bad publicity.
Oh, dear. You know, a friend of mine, Ross McRae.
Yes,
Yeah,
especially.
yeah, I used to work at the Veins with him.
Yes, well,
I used to work at the Veins with him.
oh right, yeah, because he's really good to meet you, mate.
And Lee Evans isn't in touch with your
Oh,
singing
no.
talking shit.
You know, he don't like his own material.
She sweats a lot.
No, I haven't seen Ross for years, but he was doing a bit of stand-up last time I heard.
That's right, yeah, he's on Radio Essex
Yes,
now.
I've heard him because I had some gigs in Braintree that I was running and Chelmsford and Rayleigh and Grays. And often when I was driving in, I was channel hopping, he'd come on a Saturday tea time
That's
afternoon,
right, yeah.
football time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he'd come on there and yeah, I'd hear him on there gassing away.
Yeah.
He's quite good on there.
Yeah, he is. I think
Is
he's
he
an
still
actor for
doing
that. Yeah, as far as I know, he's mate, because they was abusing each other the other day. So.
Surprise, surprise, I haven't been that way for a while because
Oh,
I
yeah?
have no gigs.
I don't know why. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's why. This is why I'm filming and not DJing at the moment.
I better find my man now. There he is, he's over there.
So it's funny. I did to the Unite for Freedom a few weeks ago.
What, is that in London? Thing?
Yeah, that's about 500,000 people. Not a stitch on the BBC about it.
I went to James, we parked up at St Gaffney's Dock and walked up to Park Lane.
Yeah.
And I was just telling people there, I said there was one guy on Twitter who complained to the BBC.
Yeah.
And they're really doing that answer. They said, we normally get our results from, they said, we get our results from the police, who liaise with the organisers, because there were no organisers, we haven't got a figure.
Yeah.
Leave it because like, you know, people are going to come here, they need to see it.
But you know, they knew how many was there. One guy on Twitter said there were 5,000. Okay,
That was rubbish.
yes.
I went to the one in August and that was 5,000 to 10,000.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, no, there was a lot. I've done a lot of demos in the 80s and that was the biggest I've ever been on.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't put a figure on it, obviously, because I'm just one person in the crowd. But
Yeah.
it was, we got to Hyde Park at the end,
Yeah.
and we were a ways back, because we were near the front when it started, waiting for friends of my friends to catch up
Yeah.
to where we were, so we could look up to them. So we stayed, got potted up there, opposite the Aston Martin garage.
Yeah.
And, anyway, they joined us, and then we got into the march, and off we went, and then we were kind of ambling, and we were aware people were going past you, know,
Yeah,
so we're dropping further back, a bit like when I do park run. And so we're getting further and further back, and then when we finally got to Hyde Park, we sat down.
Yeah.
We just got inside the gates, about 100 yards, and we sat down, and we must have been sat there about 20 minutes, and then we called it a day, started to leave, and they were still coming into the park 20 minutes after we'd arrived.
Jeez.
And like, yeah, that ain't 5,000 to 10,000 people.
No. I mean, because I went to the one in August and it was literally Trafalgar Square down the street and that was it.
Yeah.
So I didn't check the paperwork properly and I thought I was going to do that again.
Yeah.
So I parked my bike down by Victoria Embankment, I walk up, expecting to walk back. Hell no, I had blisters everywhere because I had my bike boots on.
Well, that's why.
When we got round to Victoria Embankment, that's my bike, I'm stopping now, I'm done.
That's why we went and sat down, because we were all of a certain age, and it was time to sit down.
Yeah.
And I got lucky though, because I was going to take my woolly hat from me because I knew it was going to be sunny,
Yeah.
and I forgot, and I thought, oh, I'm going to get right burnt up here.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think where I've been out in the garden quite a bit, I had a bit of protection on my scalp already.
Yeah.
I was looking at the security guy here today, he's bright red on the back.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
he's the same as me.
I bumped into, I'll tell you, I bumped into of all people, Richard and Craig Fairbrass.
Oh, yeah,
Right, so
I heard they were there, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard they were there. I bet they had some block on, I bet they had more sense than me.
They seemed alright actually, but
Yeah.
I think there was a little bit sand, if I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was because I literally, I walked around with a group that I'd sort of congregated with at Downing Street,
Yeah.
and then I thought, well, I'm going to stop in front of this diverted traffic sign because I've got a nice flow
Yeah.
coming through. And as I could see the blue lights, I thought, right, well, we're coming to the end now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn around and follow back. And as I turned around, I thought, I know them two guys. Follow them, I'll follow them on Twitter. So I recognised them instantly. And,
Yeah.
but real Fred's there, and yeah. A nice little chat with him, great fellas.
It's funny, as we sit off on the march, there were two blokes sitting in the car at Marble Arch.
Yeah.
And I just went over to him and had the windows open. I went, excuse me, lads. And the one went, yeah, like the passenger side. I said, listen, I said, I'm helping a mate of mine revise for his inspector's exams.
Yeah.
I said, so if you do arrest me later, do bear that in mind. And they both laughed. I went, have a good day, ta.
That'd been alright. I had a funny situation because just I switched to filming,
Yeah.
which apparently I'm allowed to do because I'm self-employed entertainment, and it's like a nice broad spectrum, you know. And we've done a lot of ghost hunting, old paranormal stuff, it's been funny stuff. And we've done down, old St Margaret's Church in Bowes Gifford. Do you know that one?
No, I don't.
It's behind Pitsy Creme.
Right.
Yeah, so we went down there, and as I was doing stuff and recording away, and I could see this car coming down, and like, that looks like Rosa's, and yeah, you could just see the side, light side and everywhere. So I thought, oh, here we go, we're gonna have a bit of fun and games here.
Yeah.
But he stopped at the gate and he said, you guys ghost hunting? And I went, yeah, we're doing some filming night. He went, I believe you too, I'm scared of ghosts, and fucked off. So, okay.
But I remember I went down there one night with
Oh, there's my lift.
I went down there one night with Mickey Flanagan
Yeah.
and Ed Byrne.
Right.
And we got all the way to Southend, pulled up at the set of lights, and this girl plowed right in the back of us. And she shunted us forward about 15, 20 feet.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was one of those turnings where the lights were set back. If it had been closer to, we'd have been out in the road.
Yeah.
And as Ed turned around, he went, she's on the phone.
Right.
She'd obviously been on the phone when she hit us.
Yeah.
And she caved in the back of the car, and so we had to swap details, got to the gig. As it happened, it was lucky my cousin was there.
Yeah.
As a front of that way. And he came out afterwards, he got a bit of rope and he tied it, like a McGann hatchback, and he tied the back down so we could get up.
Yeah.
And Ed Burns said, he said, could you imagine, Ed with his Irish brogue,
Yeah.
could you imagine the damage to the comedy circuits that woman could have done? This was before Mickey really took off, but he was already flying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite a thing.
This is this is really surreal because I used to live here and all.
Did you?
Yeah, village just outside the Waltham.
Are you filming for like a little production or something? Or what you
I've done a live feed for all of that, and then just like a little vloggy thing for I'm going to sort of edit tomorrow.
So where can I see it?
Hang on. Cool. That's me there.
Thanks, Adam. You're Adam, mate.
That's me, yeah. Yeah, so I'm normally doing ghost hunting, but I've diversified a couple of times. It's amazing what skills you start learning when your DJ work's gone up the spout. And trouble, you just don't pay any money. Well, not at the moment, anyway.
You had Chris McGrath, that bloke who does the poet, he lives in the North East.
Yeah.
You heard of him?
Yeah.
So I saw it posted today, I just wanted to miss it. He said, I want to do some comedy gigs.
Yeah.
Stand-up comic, and you'll get free. Because,
All right.
he's desperate to do something.
Yeah.
He went viral, didn't he?
That's right.
did a poem called The Right to Hate,
Yeah.
and it went viral. You should do it.
Yes, yeah.
What in the Irish was that?
Well, it used to be in the West Indies. One about the ballet dancer from.
Oh, Billy.
Yeah, he was in Billy Elliot. Yeah. And he just did it. No, it's an old wax. He went viral. He finished
Dobra, ja dzisiaj wieczorem napiszę.
about the right to hate, you know, sort of about freedom of speech, being able to offend people. It's quite,
Yeah.
I think it's been offending.
They were talking about it the other day, it was on Twitter, about this new law, and they're saying it's to protect and I tweeted it, and I went, you've even got free speech all you wait.
Yeah, no,
I said, if people want to, if
conditions,
idiots,
isn't it?
I said, if idiots want to show their idiocy, let them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my view. It's like,
You got the right to be an idiot.
yeah.
Weirdly, the last person I actually went to see before we locked down was Jonathan Pye.
Oh yeah.
On that fake news tour he was doing, which was actually quite funny and illuminating. But
Yeah.
Well, he might have done because I think Andrew Doyle used to write. I don't think he
has he stopped? He stopped writing for him now, hasn't
He just Tony McGrath. He writes. We had tickets. Me and my wife had tickets to see Tony McGrath in Leicester Square and Comedy Theatre. That's been bumped twice now. That's supposed to be happening in July, I think. I've seen a woman that does that. She's done it. They found a blonde actress to play, to do a routine next to Tony McGrath. Yeah. It's just really well, really good job. She's done it at York. Not right.
The only one I ever went to
As well?
was on when I went there. It did make me laugh a little bit because it's like years ago there was a film called The Original Years.
Yeah.
It's an American film about doing something really heavy material. But I watched it, and I went to show it with another country friend of mine, and I said, do you know what? I said, it's kind of weird. I said, but look at this film. It's crazy. I said, I think we do just per se. This is the stuff that American comics was almost like, we won't do this. I'm going to put dairy, you know, before it's all in this tone and context, you know what I mean? If you do something just right, they'll laugh at the fact they're serious, you know what I mean? Oh, another long one, look, it's 11 o'clock already.
I'm supposed to be filming in Pluckley right now. If it's 11 o'clock.
Pluckley, is that
Just outside Ashford.
yes.
The most haunted village in the UK, according to 1989 Guinness Book of Records. We went there last night, and I've got a different group with me tonight.
Yeah.
I've got like a regular team that comes out with me, but last night I went with a clairvoyant, another sensitive person. Yeah, we helped to Spirit Cross. It's one of the art. I've actually, just for something I got into for a bit of a giggle and a bit of a cheap scare, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm now finding I'm helping freaking Spirits Crossing over. Where did that come from? But last night's one was really hard work.
So what is it people's houses or churches?
I haven't been able to do properties because of the old COVID restrictions, so everything's been outside.
Yeah.
Which going through December and January weren't much fun, but
No.
we got some good stuff. It was worth it. You got to suffer for you, right, haven't you? But we've done one inside place which we weren't expected to do because we thought it was locked up, and that's the chapel over at Bradwell-on-Sea.
Yeah.
St Peter's on the Wall. It's about 1400 years old, this place, and we got some right good content in there.
Yeah.
We had I had a little the spirit of a 7-year-old girl kept playing games with me. She kept setting off my detection equipment when my back was turned, and the group was saying, "That's you," because I was standing right next to me alarm. And I went, "It ain't me." I said, look, I literally stood over, because it's like a little black box of an aerial. And I was literally standing over the top of the aerial, freaking twerking. And like, it's not me setting this off. But as I walked away, it's gone off again. It's done it several times, but picked up.
I have to get my wife's dice and pool list down there, see if I can get that working.
We'll give it a go.
I broke it yesterday.
Bit dividing.
Here we go, we've got cool to make, because left of the car, isn't it?
I took she had the head on it, broke last, bought another one for 60 quid, and broken really. It's just stuck together, and there's such a, I tried to take it apart, and it didn't, it fell off, and it just broke the wires, and so,
Nope. Come on.
I can't perceive, you know, so replacement. We met Steve at
I reckon if I could extend this another foot or so, I could shove it right up my ankle. It's backside.
If I was going to live somewhere in Europe, I think I'd go and live in Norway, because I love the old Scandinavian scene. My daughter's Freya, which is a very Norwegian name. And always like, you know, sort of healthy attitude to life, you know, and Sweden's like, okay, it's in the EU, but at least they've grown up about lockdown. And they're sort of really,
Aren't they EFTA?
I think Norway would probably be my go-to.
Yeah. Aren't they EFTA?
Yeah.
So they're
Norway,
not.
yeah.
They're not sort of in. They're
I was just saying Sweden. Sweden are in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I like the liberalism in Sweden and
Yeah.
the approach they took to lockdown.
Yeah.
But it's in the EU, and I'm not. I don't know. We'll get into the Brexit argument again. But
I was very much pro-Brexit, as I believe someone else was.
Yeah. Well, I'm half Dutch.
Yeah.
I'm very pro-Europe, and like most of my Dutch cousins, I can see that the EU is actually bad.
Not fit for purpose.
Well, last week they had Europe Day, right?
Yeah.
So my brother, who's like a massive Remainer, he's put an EU flag and all these. If you googled Europe Day,
Yeah.
all of the images you could have shared on Facebook were all EU flaggy.
Yeah.
Well, I finally
Yeah.
found one that had a crowd of people,
Yeah.
all with the different national European flags. You
Yeah.
know, so you had your Belgian flag, your German flag.
Yeah.
You had a Union Jack in there, sort of crowd. Not an EU flag in sight. That's what I shared.
Yeah.
I said, you know, happy Europe Day. Hopefully Europe can be Europe again. Sort
Yeah.
of type
Yeah.
tone. You know. Which is how I said.
Liverpool was like a massive thing in the EU. The EU was spending money in Liverpool, which was our money. You know, and I was trying to explain to them. I said, basically, we give them money, they retain a huge sum, a big chunk of it, and then they give some of it back to them. And then they put their, you know, if that was your business.
Caveat, yeah.
That's their business. It's like, so you give me £2 grand, I'll keep 200 quid, I'll give you 1,800 quid back, and I'll build you a shed. On that shed will be my flat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks like I've given it to you, but it's your money.
Yeah.
At Liverpool, they were road.
I think Al Murray done a very good The Only Way is Epic on his. I went to see that years ago, and he basically explained what happened. He grabbed a bunch of money off of all the people on the front row, went, right, thank you very much. And he went, you can have that, you can have this, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm keeping yours.
Yeah. No, that's it. I'm blessed. I've got an absolute hatred of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I mean, I loathe it, you know. And what I know, and that's believe that we keep making more politicians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's increase the number of politicians.
We've got too many MPs.
Yeah.
And they elected von der Leyen in Germany.
She was the defence minister.
She was a failure as defence
Yeah,
minister.
they ended up running around with brooms. It's like, that's army
She's the only
stuff.
one on the ballot paper, so basically,
Yeah.
this is the president, is that okay?
Years ago, I did this drawing up of the Soviet Communist Party ballot paper, and you just got and it says, please put the X by the party of your choice. No, sorry, it was XXX.
Yeah.
Please put the Communist Party by the X's of your choice. That was it. And I can't draw, but I could do some words. But that's how I see those things.
Yeah.
It's just, you know. They're only like a step of
Incoming.
they're about, like, you know, like in Saddam Hussein would get elected with 95% of the vote.
Yeah.
And they go in, the EU's not much different. He was standing against Saddam Hussein.
I mean, I'd say the easiest argument was like, you know, the people that run this, did you elect? And that, you know, Van Rompuy, as Nigel described, as an overzealous bank manager or something. Said he looked like a bank teller. It's going to be about the fourth time my feet have got wet. Well, this hasn't actually had changed. Last time I was here 10 years ago. And it's still the same.
Where are you from?
I'm from Southend, but I moved here back in 2000 and end of 2007.
When Smashers worked for Churchill,
That's right.
that's when I first met him. And he put me Churchill to and I just finished a tour.
Yeah.
And we got people in this and they the bouncer he
Oh.
he said I walked in the car park.
Yeah.
And he goes, right, you've got to go through here, it's a fire exit door.
Yeah.
He said, the stage is on the left. He said, when you get in, he said, duck your head because there's a speaker there. When I got in, of course, I'm just wearing the speaker.
Yeah.
And I nearly fell in the audience. There was 500 people. I can only describe as a thing. And it was like, bear in mind, I've been on big stages on this tour, and suddenly I wanted to be there. And it was a blind gig, and then he put me in for one, because there used to be a church here as well. And he put me in for one in Canterbury. He didn't manage this, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it was Churchill's where...
Well, I'm sure there was a Churchill's here.
Yeah, there was one, I can't remember the name of the club that I helped him out with.
Yeah.
But there was another one. I think the Churchill's was the first club he actually managed.
Yeah.
And then this one was they just put a gig on in a nightclub in Southend, which I helped.
Yeah.
Because Ross tried to book a gig into what's that place in Southend called? It's got like it's got bowling alley. It's like a big multi-purpose.
Kurzel, yes, yeah.
Yeah, he tried to run a gig in there, but it wasn't a good run.
No.
I did that for him one day, one night, and then I think he then got another
Yeah, Kurzel's an odd place. It's actually shut at the minute. Not because of COVID, well, partly because of COVID, but...
was Gary Jackets, you remember Southend? He used to run a gig in the Cliffs Pavilion.
Yeah.
And then he booked me for a gig in it was like a hotel, and it wasn't very well attended at all. And again, it's one of these things. I then subsequently booked my own venue in Rainey.
Yeah.
Just selling it out over and over.
Yeah.
What are they doing wrong? What are they doing right?
Yeah.
you know, because if people weren't turning up at Gary Duckett's venue because I was on, you're thinking, well, why?
Something's not right.
It's just that marketing.
Yeah.
So I kind of stopped doing it for people because I found that if I put them on, they'd sell out.
Yeah. Oh. Well, it's a much fault to walk them blooming London.
Stretch your legs.
Yeah. I'll make a concerted note on the next London one. Pack trainers.
Last time, John had a little rucksack. He had some sandwiches and everything.
All right.
I think there's one in 2 weeks' time.
Yes. I think it's the last Saturday.
Yeah,
It's a bank holiday.
29th, yeah, I think I'm going to do the same if we go.
Yeah.
Just saying, if we go to the 29th, I'm going to have a little rucksack from
Yeah.
I might even have a white neck bottle and all in case I need a wee.
I might contemplate the train next time.
I'll be standing there with a towel around.
What do you want to do? Do you want to do the same as you did before? The other option would be Hills going up in a Land Rover, she's parked, where she parked before. Or we could
Jump in with them?
meet on Bluebell Hill, somewhere around there, and it's cheap thing.
Oh, well, if she's got wrong, it makes sense. We can all jump in her car.
Yeah, it saves a walk for a big.
Yeah. Although I'll be honest, I was telling people about it. I thought it was quite a nice walk that actually. Yeah, we parked up at St Catherine's Dock in Rockwood.
Okay, yeah.
It's about 100 metres from Saturday, and you can park there for free on a Saturday.
Oh, can you?
On the street.
All right.
And we just walked into Park Lane, and it was all along the river. It was nice.
Right.
Nice, what was it, hour and a half?
That's outside the outside the congestion zone as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Right, I'm going to bear that in mind.
So I think we walked about, I think I worked it out about over 10 miles that way.
Yeah.
It might be more than that actually, because I did it very constantly.
But yeah, we had quite a brisk walk in,
Yeah.
And then, and the weather was really nice, and we, people were sitting outside having a brew and whatnot. Places. And yeah, it was a good day all round.
I quite like the, when we stood near that place in, we saw everyone. It was quite nice to see. If you just join the march and then you go with it, you don't get a feel of it. But if you stand for a bit and just take it in for the first 20 minutes and then I think it's
We can't all do that, otherwise we'll all be. Who's got to break first?
So last couple of times I went on the motorbike.
Thank you for organising. My pleasure. Cheers. Okay. Lee Hurst from the stand-up.
Of course you are.
That's what I should have done.
Hello, Mike. Good to meet you.
nice to meet you. Thanks so much. Really good to
say. Really good. Yes, I know you know. Yes. I know you years. All I wanted to say.
Yeah. It's not my medium anymore. It's too short. I'm wordy as you see. I don't do good punchlines either. Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
Many years ago, all these people used to do would be
You can put it with this. And it can pile on. Thank you, I appreciate that.
You must be Sam Robinson.
I'm not worried at all about what people think. Because I know I'm right. I know I'm right, okay? So we're quick cutting off. Oh, now it's just like mad, isn't it?
Well, I saw what happened with Eamon Holmes. Because they had David Icke come on, didn't he? And he was like, just letting me hear out. And the stuff that came back off of that.
I know, it's like, obviously, the flat Lee got just for telling a very funny joke. But they can't actually, there's nothing, it's just virtue signalling, isn't it, most of the time?
Yeah.
Oh, look at how, worthy I am. Anyway.
That's what I get with. I know his stuff was, how it was written, but with Jonathan Pye when he done that rant off.
Yeah.
Rainbow Cup. Who is this helping? It was hilarious, but it was so important. And I know, he's left wing like a lot of comedians.
No. Someone hits a point. He really nailed it. The character Jonathan Pye with the post-Brexit.
Tom Walker, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's how he is, isn't it? The actor.
Just cover me.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. But he was very good at the point that he said, if vote's done.
Yeah.
You know, people's vote. You know, he's basically taking Remainers. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's what he'd done on
Maniacs.
Yeah. That's what he'd done on the fake news. I mean, he had a pop at Brexit, he had a pop at Trump, and I'm like, you know, I come here to expect that. Oh, what another amazing day. Bit wet. My shoes have been soaked for the third time this morning. So you come far? You live local?
Maidstone.
Oh, Maidstone. Okay.
Where are you from locally?
I'm actually from Southend, but I did live in Canterbury for a little while.
Oh, nice.
And I lived in Dover.
Oh, nice.
And Sittingbourne.
I've seen one, yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah, I was work up there. I was going to go to London, but more people do stuff locally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was good to come to this one. I went to the London one a few weeks ago.
Oh, that was good. I didn't go, but
mental.
It was beautiful vibes.
Yeah, really, really
and
positive.
there was nothing on the sky, nothing.
No.
Like nothing, because I don't want to show it, because it's all propaganda.
No, so that's why there's loads of like little, you know, media outlets that were posting stuff up about it. But just great atmosphere. I mean, the fact that you've had like 500,000 people walk through London, and you don't want to report it. You know what I mean? But you reported the march on the Iraq War, you reported the march for to stay in the EU. But you didn't want to report this.
No.
If you don't like the narrative, you don't report it.
Yeah, it's good.
Right, okay, that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on Monday for the vlog. Don't forget me episode on Thursday and Trace Cameron Sunday. Just take care. Cheers.